Before you making this, I would like to tell you that this vehicle spawner will work off the basis of permanently unlockable cars. Next up, I would make a tutorial on how you can make cars that would actually, where you have to each time spend money on them, but this time it's just that you can permanently unlock the cars for money and then you can anytime spawn. Okay, so the first thing for that we need to do is we need to as well replicated storage as well as workspace. We need to insert a folder which we're going to call vehicle spawners. What we then want to do is we also in replicated storage want to insert a remote vent, and we're just going to quickly call that from car purchase. We are basically going to use this remote event later on if we want to actually ask the server, hey, this person is trying to buy something, does he actually have the money? And now let's actually find some car that you will be able to spawn. So I'm just gonna get, let's say, this Jeep, and because it's called Jeep, I'm in the both vehicle spawner folders. I'm going to insert a folder named Jeep. In the one for the replicated storage, I'm simply going to insert this Jeep. I'm going to call it car. We'll have to do that with every car we want for a vehicle spawner. And we're also going to, in the Jeep and vehicle spawners and replicated storage, we're going to insert an int value, which we're going to call price. Now for the workspace, because we want a part that actually could be, let's say, a cylinder. We can customize this a little bit, and then we can also we can just quickly put this into the Jeep and vehicle spawners in workspace, and we're going to call this button, and then we're gonna need another part which we're just going to call spawn. We want both of these to be anchored, but we want that spawn is actually fully transparent and anchor light is false. Then we're going to move this a little bit in the air because this is going to be the position at which the Jeep actually spawns. For this, we also want to make sure that we have a currency script. I have created a tutorial on how to make one. I will insert a card on screen right now. I'm just going to quickly use this currency script. Just going to insert it. And then I am in the button going to insert a script. This script is going to first of all contain a car name. So local car name as a variable equals to script.parent.parent.name. Because we're referencing the second parent of the script. So the parent of the parent, which is the parent would be button and the parent of that would be Jeep, the folder, and that name would be Jeep. So it knows the car name is Jeep. Then script.parent touched function in the brackets will get hit. So now if it gets touched, we get whatever touched it. So then we're going to check. So we're going to get a variable local PLR equals to game.players get player from character hits.parent. And then this is just assuming that this actually has a player. So we're going to see if player. So if game.player is showing that player from character hit.parent, then we know, okay, that's a player. So then we're going to do if plr.cars find first child car name, then local car equals to in the relative source of vehicle spawners in square brackets car name afterwards a car clone. This is actually the reason why we have to make sure that our actual car model needs to be called car, so that in any of these folders like Jeep, it will know, oh yeah, it's just looking for a car. Then we can say car.parent equals to workspace car move to script.parent.spawn.position. So now it's gonna actually move this car to the position here about in the air, and then we're going to use a car. Okay, so that would be that. But now what if he didn't have the car? If we want him to purchase it, so we're going to say game.storage dot prompt car purchase fire client. So this one's an argument PLR, so which client to fire, and we're just trying to also give it the car name so that the client can handle what car he's even trying to purchase. And now, talking about handling car purchases, there's two things left to do. For one, we need to actually make sure that the player can buy and own cars, and that's basically what we still need to do about that set of two things. So first of all, we're going to say that he can own cars. So we're in service, we're going to insert a strip, which we're going to call the car ownership handler. And in the car ownership handler, we're going to first of all say we wanted data source, so local ds equals to game get service data store service get data store owned car data store, and then we're going to say game.player is a player added internet function. We're going to get the PLR. So now the following code will be repeated for every player that joins the game. Local owned cars equals to instance.new folder owned cars.name equals to in quotation mark cars. That's also the folder we're referencing right over here. So here we'd be checking if it in that folder finds car name, and here we're just trying to say own cars.parent equals to PLR. So that's what's able to find that in the PLR. Now we actually want to save this whole stuff, so we're also going to get game.player removing content function. We're going to get the player. We want to first make a table of cars, so local cars equals to, and then just do squiggly brackets. Now we're going to loop through the folder of cars that players are owning, so for car in pairs plr.cars get children do table.insert cars.car.name. So this will just insert the string of this name into the cars table. And finally we can say ds set async plr.user id quotation marks underscore cars after the quotation marks comma cars. I have also made a separate tutorial on how data stores work. You can check that out if you want. I'm also putting a card for that on screen right now. And now that it's saving the data of what cars the player is owning, we only need to load it. Go back in the player added event after the own cars apparent equals the PLR. We're gonna drop to a line and say local data. This is just going to be a blank variable for now. And then we're going to say pcall function, and then in there we're going to say data equals to ds get async, and then we can just copy over what we're using in the set async before the comma. Because we can see we're setting the async for this piece of string with the information, and now we're getting this async of that piece of string. And we're gonna also check if data is not equal to nil, then we're gonna say for car in pairs data do, because basically now we're getting this cars table out, so we're gonna loop through it, and for each element which would be a string, we're gonna say local val equals to instance.new bool value val.name equals to car, which is basically just a string that we have been putting into that table, and val.parent equals to own cars. And now if it's going to save again, it's just going to loop through own cars, and for each of them get a string. Perfect, now it's going to save and load what cars the players own, and finally we just need to make sure that the player can actually purchase cars. For that we need a GUI that I have previously made. The GUI will be provided in the description in case you either just want to generally use it or want to make sure that you have been making yours correctly. This GUI is although not going to contain any scripts or any crucial parts, only the visual elements, because I do not, because you won't learn anything from just copying it over. And there we go, that's my GUI. I just have a frame that says, do you want to purchase, and a yes and a no button. This is probably one of my proudest UI creations until now. So what we then want to do is, we first of all, in this GUI we want to directly, in the GUI we want to insert a string value, which we're going to call car. We're also going to insert a remote event and a script. In the frame we're also going to insert a local script, as well as in the N button I'm also going to insert a local script. And in the yes button I'm going to insert a script, a local script, and a remote event, which I'm going to call by car. Now that should be all of the stuff like that we need. First of all, we want to, in the local script that's directly in the frame, we want to say game.replicated storage dot prompt car purchase dot on client event function, and in the brackets we're going to get car name. And we're going to first of all get a variable local car equals to game.replicated storage of vehicle spawners find first child car name car. Then we need to do two more lines, which would be script.parent.textLabel.text equals to in quotation marks, are you sure you want to buy space after the quotation marks dot our name, then another dot and then in quotation marks space, actually not car name but car, then in the quotation marks after the space, or colon space $sign after the O quotation marks dot car dot price dot value. Actually, the variable we're getting here, the argument is not car but car name, and then if I push out, we're using car name. So then we're going to say script.parent the remote event fire server car name, and then finally we're going to say script.parent.visible equals to true. So this just makes the frame visible then, so that people will actually know after it has been, the information has been displayed. So it wants to say, do you want to purchase, but it doesn't say, let's say, are you sure you want to purchase Jeep for, let's say, $25. So now that this remote event has been fired, we're in the script that's also in the car purchase confirmation UI directly. We are going to say script the parent of remote event of on rental get function. We're going to get two arguments, PLR and val, the player that sent it from the local script and the value that we're sending. Script.parent.car.value equals to val. We're just setting that the car string value is just val on the server, because we need to have this information on the server later on. What we're then going to do is, we're in the local script in the N button, we are going to just say script the parent.mouse button on click function, and then finally script the parent.visible equals to false. So that will just make the GUI invisible. And then finally we can get to the two scripts in the yes button. The yes button local script is just going to say script the parent.mouse button on click function, script the parent.buy car the robot event fire server, and the same thing as in the Y button, as in the N button, script the parent.visible. So it's false. So now the no button will make the frame be gone, and the yes button will first of all, before fire off the remote event, and then make the frame be gone. So now finally, let's come to the server script that's in that button. This is just going to say script the parent.buy car.onServerEvent function. We're going to get the player, in the brackets, because if the player presses yes button, then that's basically just going to make the script start to come in action. So we're doing a variable local car equals to game.replace storage dot b equals spawners square brackets script dot parent dot parent dot parent dot car dot value and local price equals to car dot price dot value, and then it's gonna check if leader stats dot cash dot value is bidder equal to price. Then so the thing is, you can replace the cash here with whatever your currency name is if you have been using my currency script. Basically here we're just referencing the value responsible for how much for the money of the player, and in this and it's just gonna check if the player has more money than he needs, and if he has enough money to buy the car, and then we're gonna say plr.leader stats dot cash dot value, you can replace cash with whatever your currency name is, minus equal to price, and then finally local val equals to instance dot new tool value val dot name equals to car dot name val dot parent equals to plr dot cars. So this is basically all that happens if the player purchases a car. It basically just gives him the value. Okay, I just know. So that's perfect. And that should be everything we need to do. For this entire thing to actually work, we also need to publish it as a game and enable Studio Access API services. Actually, something we might also want to do is make sure that the start of the GUI frame is not visible by default, because that's kind of turned off. Game setting security, enable Studio Access API service, enable that save. And now this should actually work, so let's play it. Okay, so currently I have 50 cash, but I do not own the target. Okay. Oh yeah, we also have to here on line 4 after are you sure you want to buy the dot, and then we replace car with car name. I don't know what's out of mind. Let's try this again now. And let's see if we touch the button currently. Oh yeah, are you sure you want to buy Jeep for 0? So let's actually do some tests. So if I were to go onto the server and make the Jeep cost, let's say 51, because this person would not be able to afford 51, he only has 50. So let's see if he presses yes. Yeah, it still gives him the transformation because, well, you can pay that. He can press no. But now we were to set it to 25, yes, twice that amount. Let's see. Can he buy it once? Yes. Now he can spawn it. And it doesn't even give him the question again if he wants to buy it. Which would be perfect. And let's actually hope if this actually saves. The money saves. In the cars folder we still have the Jeep. So currently he's able to spawn the car if he wants. Perfect.